Here we are. Well, guys, how you doing? Welcome to the What is Martha's Vineyard podcast. I'm Seán McMahon. This is,
Brian Sullivan,
and we are,
a.k.a. Sully, a.k.a. Bulldog.
we are Sully Bulldog, and we are Seán Bucksnort. Well, Brian, how the hell are you?
I'm excited because we've been talking about this for quite some time, and we have had people, we have tried this before, and we've had up to 5 or 6 people.
That's right.
But I think it's important, I like your vision to say, let's start with just the two of us, and go from there to let the audience in on seeing this grow.
Yeah,
Well-
because we want to show people what our interests are first off the bat, right? It's all about our vision. What is our vision? Our vision is really centered on Martha's Vineyard, who it is, who the people are, what it is, but really an emphasis on who it is. What is Martha's Vineyard if not a beautiful beehive buzzing with the activity of many people with amazing stories, all of whom I reckon, once we start interviewing people, we want to interview people, I think they'll all have a different take on that question. What is Martha's Vineyard?
Who is Martha's Vineyard?
Who is Martha's Vineyard?
What? Yeah, the basics. And I do think that there's something to this. You were mentioning that just last week you were on a show that was based out of Chicago, and the question you just kept getting asked were things about Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, man.
Even though the show was more focused on your music. Is that, or was it a ministry thing?
It was a little bit of both. There was a podcast called Aeon Bite, run by this guy Miguel O'Connor, and I've been talking to him for years on his podcast. His podcast is centered on like esotericism and Gnosticism, which is sort of like a subset of Christian mysticism from the early church. And I first started talking to him because I did a concept album about Gnosticism in like 2014. And we've stayed in touch since then. I've done a bunch of interviews with him. And so this time I was talking mostly about ministry, a little bit about music, and also some of my experiences when my world intersected with David Bowie's during the recording of his last album, Black Star, because Miguel O'Connor, he writes a lot of books about, interestingly enough, with his mystical focus, he chooses to write books about musicians. So he wrote a book called The Gnostic Elvis, and it's all, or The Occult Elvis, I should say. And it's all about like all the weird occult stuff Elvis did. Like Elvis could control the weather with his voodoo, and he had all sorts of strange experiences as a kid. And Miguel's working on a book about David Bowie and the last album, Black Star, because Black Star is this like wild, esoteric sort of occult encoded message that he gave, that he wanted to bequeath unto the world as he was dying of cancer. And it just so happened that the band I was playing in at the time was recording a single in the same studio, the Magic Shop in NYC, while David Bowie was recording there. And so all we knew at the time was that there was this secret project going on at the studio, and we had to wait outside the studio a really long time before we could go in for our session, which was unusual. Which is all to say, we were talking about all this stuff, or trying to, on this podcast.
Yeah.
But there was a live audience of about, well, they said it was about 100 at a time. I don't know how many there were total, but 100 people at a time. And all their comments would go by, and the most common comment was about Martha's Vineyard. They're like, oh, he's from Martha's Vineyard, hoity-toity, Stepford wives, like McMansions. And I just had to stop the interview for a second. I said, all right, Miguel, hold on. I got to address this because people have a lot to say about what they think Martha's Vineyard is. Because people who haven't been here, if they've heard about it, they've heard that it's like the playground of the rich and this sort of, whitewashed place where all the powerful rulers of the world come together to conspire over hors d'oeuvres, caviar, and mutual admiration over each other's like multi-acre McMansion properties. And I said, well, here's the deal. First of all, Martha's Vineyard has a personality, Martha, and all the year-round population knows all too well that you really only stay here if Martha wants you, right? That's how people talk about it. There's like a mysticism around Martha. There's legends and mythos. And if Martha's calling you, if Martha wants you, then you'll stay. Even if you try to leave, which sounds crazy, because then there's this whole other group of people who know all too well that it can be very difficult to live here, right? To stay here and to find housing. And it feels like Martha's just, chewing you up and spitting you out, saying, nope, go back over the Great Divide, back to the mainland. And so I talked a bit about that, like life as a year-rounder. And then I talked about, those stories I know about Martha's Vineyard, which are frankly weird. Like the first UFO abductees I ever met were Martha's Vineyard people. I met Rick O'Gorman. Have you ever seen Rick O'Gorman? Have you ever met him or so? Rick O'Gorman is such a unique character, and he's such a striking person when you see him. Like he usually wears like what's it called, a beret or a barrette? Which one's the hat?
I'm not the expert on beret or barrette.
The French hat.
I think it's green beret.
Green beret. Yeah, so it's probably beret. Yeah, I think he tends to go with red.
Yeah.
And he has like long hair, long beard, often braided. I feel like when I see him...
Usually do a crotch shot.
Yeah, let's crotch it up, folks. Welcome to Martha's Vineyard, where we really take it easy, loaf around, put our feet up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rick O'Gorman, I first encountered him at the Chilmark Potluck.
Okay.
You ever been to that?
Yeah.
If you have,
see, I don't like to answer things unless I'm sure.
Oh, don't be
I do believe
podcasting. We can
I
be
do
wrong.
believe that I went early, back in like 2019.
Yeah.
When I first got here.
Before it got canceled for like a year and a half.
That's probably yeah.
I can't remember why. Why would it have been canceled in 2020?
But similar to what I just went to a couple weeks ago with the Barn Raisers Ball. These community events that we have that everyone listening here that's local know that's what makes our island special. Mm-hmm. Is off season people always from like small towns across America. I have some friends that will be like, "Oh, Sully, like, gosh, like, what's it like living on an island?" Like, they almost feel bad, and then you're like, "Don't worry about me. It's way cooler than where you're living."
Yeah. I always say it's the Shire, man. We're in Middle Earth, and you guys are out in the world of men.
Yeah,
goblins
we have
and
so
orcs.
much going on that it's pretty awesome.
Do you know the story of the Barn Raisers Ball, by the way?
First of all, I want to say I already am excited. As you're talking, I'm like, Seán is going to add a lot to this show. He's going to be our historian. In a minute, you'll see also the house band.
Oh, yeah.
He's got many talents. The preacher, and these are things too that as this show develops, I think this is what we're going to be trying to show you all the it's like a tapestry of all these things that make up the island. We have some really interesting folk here that do the island hustle. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They do many things, and that contributes to not just they doing many things, but we attract some very talented people because these people have commuted, come down from the cities where they used to play or do art or things, mm-hmm. and now they're here. And so it's special to be in a small community with such talented people. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yeah, like I like that you're going to be the historian.
I'll try.
On this, you'll always be able to give us a little extra information on when we're talking about certain subjects. It's
extra information, if only because I might tell the tales taller than they're supposed to be told, and I have to emphasize
I got
whether
a hole in my sock.
Holy socks, man! He's standing on holy ground here on Nuete. If nothing else, I'll convey some mythology. I might even be putting my own spin on it. But so Barn Raisers Ball is it goes back to when the Ag Hall had to be built, and it was all built by locals. You know, like a barn raiser event. It's just like when the community comes together and builds the barn, and that's what the community did. Island Round built it up in West Tisbury, and they've been holding that ball ever since, just to commemorate that event. If you like, you can kind of appreciate it. Like, if you mobilize that many people to build something basically for free,
Yeah.
you know, the Ag Hall is beautiful and well constructed. It was basically built, as far as I know, you know, by goodwill, people putting their hand to the plow and the handsaw and whatnot.
People were saying that people that were around for that said it was the most special thing they'd ever been part of in their life.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were talking about that at the event.
Do you remember who?
Who I was talking to?
Yeah.
It was just a few folks were talking. I didn't even know.
Yeah, we'll have to track them down using GPS. Just go into the calendar, figure out who we're with, reverse engineer it using the tech. But yeah, those are the types of people we can have on. They'll tell us so much about it. Yeah, when you get that many people together to pull off a miracle like that, like, damn right you want to commemorate it, you know? And by the way, that's like, on a different level, did you know that that's what the Holy Ghost Feast is all about over at the PA Club?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know this, but if you ever go to the Holy Ghost Festival in the summer at the PA Club, you know, where they have, you know, cheeseburgers and raffles, and usually a band plays, and big Portuguese event, like lots of Brazilians come out. Well, the holiday, it's a religious holiday, but it started in Portugal.
Okay.
And the story goes that there was a famine at that time during the reign of Queen Isabella, and basically Queen Isabella was a religious lady, and she went to the church, and she prayed, and she said, you know, Our Lady, like Mary, Blessed Virgin Mary, like if you save us from this, then I will dedicate my crown to you, and we will forever turn our hearts to you, and we'll remember this forever. And supposedly by divine intervention, the famine ended, and they, you know, were blessed with prosperity and abundance. And that's what that holiday is. So it's the story of like a national leader. Try to imagine this in today's day and age, like a national leader saying like, oh my God, our problems are so bad. Like, instead of getting Congress together and arguing about it, I'm just going to go and pray for a miracle and trust God to supply our needs. And it worked. It worked. It's kind of like the barn raiser's ball, you know?
Well, see, you've already mentioned, already this is interesting because what is Martha's Vineyard? To me, this is special because Martha's Vineyard has this big name, elitist name. You know, people all know it because Obama's here, and
who?
These celebrities are here, and all these people. But it will be, I do think the essence of this is going to be showing even yourself. There was already mention of, your Christian background, and
sure.
I don't think a lot of people would think that on such a liberal, elitist island. They're not thinking there's even, So we want to introduce people on this show to the truly what this community is, and it's made up of all these beautiful people that have different perspectives, and a lot of people share the same. A lot of people share a very
unilateral, partisan. Yeah, sure.
But I do think that you are a very popular musician on this island, and you've done it successfully, even having your different beliefs probably than some of the community. And the community here, I think, supports each other.
Yeah. Well,
like they are a very supportive community.
Don't you think that, being enclosed as we are by the Great Wall of the Atlantic, like it's incumbent upon us to sort of fuse our ideals together to at least get to the same, high holy hill of the type of life we'd like to leave here. Like there's a lot of compromise, surely, but one thing that I find really fascinating about, to wax political for a second, like island liberalism, is that it's extremely conservative in a lot of ways. Like we have a lot of progressive ideals, but we still have a lot of agrarian conservatism, which is, like it's still here, alive and vital from the times before maybe the more like libertarian, liberal style hippies came here and colonized it in the 60s and 70s, because it used to be supposedly a Republican stronghold here, and it's probably because it's probably because it was so rural, agricultural, and they're less reliant on the outside world. So you see a lot of that, and basically like certain things that might be like liberal elsewhere are kind of conservative here. Like the land bank, for instance, like one way to view it is that it's like progressivism run amok, and people are just marking off land, saying you can't build here, and it's exacerbating the housing crisis and whatnot. Or you could look at it from like a European conservative perspective, which is to say that it's like the perfect antidote and preventative to enclosure. Like the European enclosure acts basically are when the lords and barons said, you know what, screw these common lands and the peasants that live on them. We're going to put fences around them, and we're going to make our money off of all this stuff. And we're not going to have a commonwealth anymore, or common lands. So in that way, like the land bank would represent like a very traditionally conservative point of view. And then the only other thing I'd add, like which is sort of relevant to a lot of us right now, is like the whole, people call it gerrymandering, but like, there's plenty of Republicans in Massachusetts, but we all know that there's no like Republican representation due to the way all the zones and districts are drawn out, sort of parceled in the same way that the imperialists kind of cut up, like Africa and whatnot. So the fact that there's not really any like state level Republican representation probably lends itself to people just saying, if you can't beat them, join them. So I'll be a Democrat, and I will just try to work through or with the local Democratic Party to get my needs met in my community. And I really think at heart, like the island is a conservative place, if only because so much of the local programs and ideals and missions are basically to preserve what this island is. So we ask, what is Martha's Vineyard? I think a lot of people hope that in 100 years, 200 years, when people ask that question, the answer will be the same as it is today. And I think a lot of people are, kind of like, oh, like the answer is kind of different than it was even 60 years ago, and we don't like that, and we want to like reverse course. So it's progressively regressive and regressively progressive in that way.
As you're talking, I'm realizing, I'm like, this session that we're having, I'd like to now transition this into like a brainstorm session.
All right.
Because that's really what we're here. We have an umbrella idea of what we want this show to be. But I'm thinking we should think about what questions do we want to ask our guests. What are we hoping that each guest will bring? What we've talked about doing live shows. Mm-hmm. We've talked about how many people we want as co-hosts or guests on the show. I think this is important in this first video recording here, because this is almost like not necessarily our first show. It's more like us introducing to the audience, like what we hope this becomes, or what's our starting place.
The teleology.
Yeah, so I think it's going to need, we've done some brainstorming, but it will be good to kind of capture that on film right now.
Yeah.
And like even as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking the audience right now would want to know a little more about you and me. So with guests, it would be the same thing. Like with you, I'd be like, tell me a little more about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a family? Are you single?
Yep.
Who's Seán? And
Demographic
what do you do
data
here?
gathering, storytelling.
Yeah. But I think that's important. So yeah, what do you have any? Do you have any family here on the island with you?
I sure do.
30 seconds about Seán. Like, even if it doesn't have to be fascinating. Just like people understand. What do you have family? How'd you get here? What brought you here?
It certainly doesn't have to be fascinating. It isn't necessarily fascinating in and of itself, but
I did kind of make it sound that way.
That's a great way to talk to guests in the future. Like, I want to have Rick O'Gorman be like, all right, now tell us briefly.
I'm just setting it up because maybe then it beats the expectation.
Tell us about your UFO abduction experience. It doesn't have to be fascinating.
Right.
I can't wait to talk to him. I want to talk to Isaac Taylor, too, for that reason. He doesn't have an abduction story that I'm aware of, but he's a student of that type of stuff. And I guess Aquinnah is full of stories like that.
But let's expand on that. But you were saying a couple locals here. We do want to start with some locals. We were talking about Raph, who owns a few businesses here. Highly entertaining guy.
Is it Raph Shy?
Yes.
He's got the surname. He's the patriarch.
Yeah. Him and his son or his family run some family businesses here.
What a character, too.
The
whole family is a family of characters. I love chatting with them.
I'd love to bring a guest that are on all sides of the spectrum, politically, spiritually. I'd like us to center that and welcome all views.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that we have good intent on, but expanding on that, I think our goal is to start with a local community audience and really champion our local community
and work our way up to Obama.
And then and realistically, we do have some big visions, big dreams to have some of the guests that seem untouchable in the world to be on this show.
Absolutely.
And we know, because we see these guys, we interact with them in these very weird ways, and not just us, but others on the island. We think it's very possible and probable that they will end up on this as long as we continue this podcast.
Oh, like the so-called big guns.
The big, right.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, they'll be they will love this. We just have to do our part to, as a community, to support this.
Yeah.
And this will become a very interesting show for all of us.
Yeah, far less than 60 degrees separating us from these so-called big guns. But I agree. I think the most important thing is to set a firm foundation populated with local voices on this podcast, because I think it's a chief concern right now in the island's current growth and maturity, and progression into the future. That the local voices are heard, and get to have a say in who we are. Because there's definitely a pervading sense, or at least a pervading question about the future and what it looks like, and whether the textures of our island are going to be smoothed over, sandpapered by outside interests who just see money, right? To put it frankly. And I would like to see enough voices and diversity in this little podcast project that maybe that sort of class conscious approach to looking at the Vineyard might actually be able to be cracked open a bit, and so that people can see there's far more going on than just class and money and ulterior motives, but there's a lot of life in the people here, and there's a way of life here that's unique and really doesn't happen anywhere else, and getting to talk to the people who are living that.
And one of my goals, and I think Seán would agree, is I you know, one of my like sincere goals with this is not just to have different perspectives here on this, but rather than debating them and challenging them, to truly become curious about their perspective, why they have it, how they got that.
Yeah.
And to show the audience too that it is possible for us to have friendly, welcoming, enjoyable conversations, even poking fun at each other, having some laughs, doing all this type of stuff. I have to mention it. Just a couple weeks ago, what a lot of people considered to be a controversial figure, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated in a public setting for the world to see, and it was quite shocking to me, just how great of a divide there was, and people are always looking to see which side you're on, and I'm someone who, it's interesting. I am someone that tries to bridge that conversation between those people. And I'm telling you right now, it's hard to do that.
Sure.
It's a challenge. They just want to know, which way are you leaning? Which way are you, and then they want to quickly, if you are leaning to one side, throw you into that side.
Yeah, and then they want to swipe left or right,
and then say absolutely not, or that's my person.
I know,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'm really, one of my goals here is, it would be lovely to not get labeled into that.
Right, yeah.
And I know that's going to happen, and that's okay.
Well, everyone will eventually figure out that we're raving monarchists.
No, but I mean, I'm proud that, like, when I look at my friendships and I look at where I've been, a little my background, I was a teacher, a model leader for Baltimore City Schools. I did that all through my 20s. I had a lot of success. A lot of my students had success. I got to oversee a bunch of schools because of that success in the classroom. And, I've gotten to travel. I've, not afraid to kind of go into places. Let's just say I feel like my friendships from around the world and everyone I've collected, I love to always make people feel welcomed and loved and appreciated. And it's sad when you're that type of personality to exist where it's now you got to belong to a team.
Oh, right.
Or people want to belong to a team.
Sure.
And they want to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wrestling match.
Yeah. Even Thanksgiving's coming up, and let's say I said a prayer, and I said a prayer for Charlie Kirk's family, but I also included on the opposite side all the kids of Palestine, or the events that occurred with the Jewish families. And let's say I tried to include everyone in that prayer, or that thought, or that love. People would be like thinking you're being political.
Perhaps,
and you're like,
yeah.
and you're like, I'm trying to do the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's hard not to be perceived as political, because, ultimately there is a political dimension to life, and everything we say is going to affect the living cellular structure of our society, of our human family. But yeah, I think, we always heard that America is a melting pot, and I had my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Lois McGovern, said it's a salad bowl, because in a melting pot everything loses its identity, but in a salad bowl everything gets, it remains in its constituent elements. And I would suggest something I've learned from my wife, via Susan Weed, who's like a herbalist type of person, that you should be consuming leafy greens by cooking them, and you can cook them by like putting them on a pan, frying them, or boiling them, and it draws out the nutrition. So I would say we need that water of life, and we need to stew our salad, our leafy greens, and then we also want to add salt to bring out the unique flavors of the constituent elements. And I feel like
this is what this podcast is.
That's what this podcast is. Oh yeah, metaphor.
Maybe we always need to be eating salad.
Salad.
Like that. Like there'll be subtle hints to that.
We got to hit up all the island
we
farms
offer
for free
our
greens.
guests. We always have a salad for our guests.
A stewed salad. a soupy kale stew. A stew.
But yeah, no, I think it would be great. Imagine if you had a podcast where you invited comics from each party, but they were able to just carry out laughter and jokes the entire time, and no one ended up yelling or walking out. Or
you know what we should do with that? So we should rent out the Strand Theater. They do a lot of comedy, because we want to do this podcast live at a certain point, get some audience participation going on. But we should rent out the Strand.
Yeah.
We should get those comedians, but we shouldn't, if possible, like I know everyone's Googling but don't let people know what their affiliations or leanings are, and then have sort of like a vote afterwards.
Yeah.
And whoever is right in guessing what that comedian's leaning is, based on their comedy alone and what they lampoon, like they win a Tesla or something. Once we get the Tesla sponsorship after the Elon Musk episode, that would be cool. And because I've been watching SNL shorts lately, and I'm actually pretty surprised. Like SNL, as we all know. Sorry, Seth Meyers. Who else comes here? Amy Schumer. Sorry, guys. But as you know, you guys probably know this best. Like, there's an ebb and a flow, dare I say, peaks and valleys, in SNL's comedy. And I think one thing that a lot of people talked about, like left and right, is that after a while, comedy was just too woke and not funny anymore.
Yeah, people were starting to.
Yeah, so they
have to.
Yeah, they're backing away from that ledge, and they're starting to poke more fun at things that maybe would have been untouchable a couple years ago. And I don't know, I think that's funny.
Yeah,
I'm very much enjoying SNL's comedy, but there's sort of an element to it because it's coming in this recent sort of woke context. I'm like, have they gone like, has SNL gone MAGA, or are they just starting to see the humor in life again, right? Like, because they're poking fun of some, what do they call them? Monoliths, albatrosses, I can't remember the term. But you know what I'm saying? Things you're not supposed to talk about, they joke about sometimes now.
I picked up on, like, when Chappelle was getting canceled. He's a master. I mean, he's one of the best who ever did it, comedy. And I feel like when he was getting ripped apart and was getting attacked, that was actually, for me, a wake up to be like, oh, there are things that are untouchable, that we are being told you could not joke about.
Yeah.
Because when you take, because there are comics that do it sloppily, and they are actually malicious in their intent, and there's ill-willed comics. But someone like Chappelle is a guy that like crafted this his whole life, knows how to do it, and is delivering something that is not intended to be prejudice. He's intending it to bring out the humor in situations. And when he wasn't able to do that successfully, it made me realize, at least, to be like, if he can't do it, who's going to be able to pull this off?
Chappelle, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just it's an example, but I do think that for me that was like an interesting wake up. Like, it was a shift in comedy.
For
what
sure.
You're talking about,
and it's worth considering that what we call wokeism now is really just like, it's political correctness.
Yeah.
Sort of made a cult, and I think it's just made a cult. Like people call it a cult. I'm not really calling it a cult. I'm just trying to, think about the way people think of it. It's considered a cult because it's become so all pervasive, and there's such a clear boundary between who's in and who's out. Because as you said, certain topics become untouchable, and then if you touch them, then you become an untouchable person in this sort of unofficial, well, increasingly official institutional caste system that has become ascendant in the country. But I think it's George Carlin's fault for dying, basically, because he was the champion against PC culture, and he just had to go ahead and croak, which messed it all up for everybody. I feel like Bill Maher, like people send me Bill Maher stuff. I think he's trying to, like claw his way out of the detritus of all this, woke stuff, because he used to be, it wasn't a show called like Politically Incorrect or something.
Yeah.
Right. So he's trying to reclaim that, and I don't know, I think wokeism as like at least as a term, it's kind of dumb. I don't like it. It's just it's too simple. It's not diagnostic enough. I think political correctness is a decent term, because it at least tells you what it is. Like there's a code, and there's correct and there's incorrect, and it's politicized, right? If you say something, they pin you to a binary, and then there's some institutional leverage behind it where you can get cast out.
Sometimes I think people don't realize like where people are coming from, in the sense of, I think most people, if you say, hey, let's be sensitive, let's say Thanksgiving's coming up, right? If someone presents themselves, they identify using certain gender, whatever it is, I think, at least myself, I think most people want to be considerate, kind, polite to your neighbors. Treat people with love. Treat them with sensitivity. And I think that's where people get lost. They think that half the people don't want to do that for people.
Yeah, fear.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like, at least for me, I'm like, I think that's noble. I think that's good. I think we should have those standards, that no one should be bullied. No one should be left out. No one should feel excluded. No one should, be hated for how they want to present themselves in the world. I think that's lovely. I think where people get lost is some people are feeling challenged that having the freedom to speak, or being able to speak freely, there are certain liberties that could be at stake if we bring that into too large of a sphere, not just around dinner tables, And I don't know. I think those are the things that are at least worth exploring and challenging and having conversations about, because those are liberties that we were provided and given, and we need to consider whether or not those are worth, preserving.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people always say like, oh, like my second protects my first, like my Second Amendment protects my first. But I would say like the First Amendment protects you from having to resort to your second one. Protects society from that. Like we got to talk first. If communication breaks down, like what are you going to do? Like once conversation breaks down at the salad table. And I think what you talked about fear of what's going on around you, and fearing what people are talking about, and worrying about what you say because of it. That just brings us back to Islanders talk, doesn't it? Yeah. Because I had a great conversation.
This is absolutely a good point.
Yeah, Islanders talk, and just the internet in general, but Islanders talk is relevant to us. Like, Islanders talk is supposed to be a depoliticized zone, and it often isn't. But no matter what, if someone has something to say, somehow the comments devolve into sort of political bitching matches, for lack of a better term. And I merely refer to the practice of dogs barking at each other female dogs, apparently. That's where the term comes from. I didn't make the term. And, but, you know, I had a conversation. I don't know. It was in a group that the conversations like may or may not have been confidential. So I won't say who it was or what the group was. But basically, you know, I was advocating for the idea that maybe the sense of political division on the island might be exaggerated. And maybe because of the way the rhetoric is sort of extremified one way or another. If someone says something that seems like it leans left or seems like it leans right, then there can be an immediate projection where it's like, then they must be far left or they must be far right, and you're what's wrong with the country. I mean, if not just the island. And I volunteered that, you know, maybe people like don't actually want to fight. It's sort of like what you were saying.
Yeah.
Like maybe by nature we wouldn't fight if we weren't afraid, and that's sort of our natural place where we sit.
Yeah.
Without that nurture massaging our fears and whatnot. And I said, you know, maybe the internet is just sort of like, it's sort of like being alone in your car, where you're more likely to cuss out the person who cuts you off, you know, just because you're alone. In the same way that when you stub your toe, you're way more likely to cuss and all that stuff when you stub your toe when you're by yourself. But it's a little embarrassing, frankly. Like you embarrass yourself if you act out like that in public. But, you know, people sometimes forget that when they're typing on Islanders Talk or X or whatever, that like that enclosure they're in, that isolation they're in, it's still connecting with the world, and their communications are being heard and heeded. So I was basically just saying, like, maybe people don't want to fight as much as they seem to on the internet. And this person responded basically saying, no, I think that's a dangerous assumption to think that people don't want to fight, because based on what I see on the internet, they do. And I just found that to be the most ironic circular counter argument. I was like, you just proved my point.
Yeah.
With that rebuttal.
Well, I'll say in person, I can only speak for myself. I think the intent of even this podcast is I do not want to fight. I'm not here to fight.
This isn't here to be UFC, right? Like,
yeah.
Maybe we'll take that Joe Rogan approach of agreeing with everyone we interview, even if their ideas are crazy, just because we're kind of passive dudes when it comes to that type of thing. Like, hey,
but I'm sincere in that too. It's for me. It's important to allow not just allow people to express themselves, but to be curious about, like, you know, to care about your fellow neighbor.
Absolutely.
You know, and what triggers they have, or what passions they have, or what motivations they have, you know. And where it becomes tricky is when someone blocks off your ability to say things, you know.
Sure.
And I'd rather us to say, you know, like, let's go back to the dinner table, and let's say people wanted to say a prayer or say some nice words around the dinner table. Well, now we're at a point where no one can say anything because it will come off politicized. Even if they have something good in their heart and they want to pray for someone, or they want to say something, someone else might roll their eyes at that.
Oh, even just praying thanks over the meal at my Thanksgiving with my extended family.
Exactly.
That's considered like a provocative political act.
Yes.
It's like we're not even supposed to say thanks around the table. It's going to be like, oh,
exactly.
Sean's being Christian again.
And then you have to like step back and be like, how about we just say thank you? But even the thanks, if we block off everything, it will end up being where we can only talk about, can you pass the salt, please?
Yeah.
And
although the salt is valuable.
And then you'll be like, it's a nice day, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us want to live in that world, do we?
No. I mean,
I don't think you guys at home, I don't think that that's what you'd want.
We want to practice neighborly love, and maybe that's what this podcast will be an exercise in. You know,
yeah.
Both for ourselves, like a form of neighborly love training, but also for people coming in. If you want, you know, if you're hearing some stuff that we don't think we're saying, like if you're hearing weird dog whistles come in and challenge us, saying like, we don't like what you're talking about with neighborly love, and then we can all practice it together, and then listeners,
you'll feel and you'll see the sincerity.
I hope that everyone who comes on here sits here talking into the camera, talking to us, and that y'all on the other side start to just fall in love with who you're hearing and all the beautiful flavors of Martha's Vineyard. Although I realized something too when I was thinking about Joe Rogan. And like how like he kind of just passively.
Well, he's another name that, believe me, a lot of the listeners right now are gonna be like, I don't like that name that this guy's mentioning.
Well, you might not like Joe Rogan because he basically is so passive. He kind of agrees with everyone in order to get deeper into conversation, which, by the way, might be a virtue. But it also occurred to me that Joe Rogan also has a very particular set of skills. So if such a disagreement were to arise, like we forget, like, oh, this dude is UFC.
He actually can.
It's like highly
he
trained.
actually can take him out.
Yeah, like,
he's so calm because he knows he could.
Yes,
just wrestle them to the ground.
Yes, not that we don't have our own particular sets of skills, but I'm just saying, like, Joe Rogan, we might be a little different from Joe Rogan in that way.
So we're also going to play with, Seán and I, we like that we're doing this where you guys are meeting the two people that have been thinking about this, wanting to do this for a long time. But, Seán has a few bands, one of which is, they call themselves Two Boys. So
Two Boys!
I'll bring in Ted into the conversation. And I said I would love to have Ted in the middle of us on his drum set.
Yeah.
Just keeping the rhythm going and adding some of your Two Boys kind of flavor to this show. So I think it's good for us to also talk. We've been talking about different formats and different styles for this show. I was thinking it'd be kind of fun. How many podcasts do you see people standing?
I wouldn't stand now with the tripod where it is because that'd be too much crotch.
But I'm just saying, I wanna play with some even visually.
Yeah, just standing.
For some reason, this podcast they're standing around. They don't have any seats.
Wondering what to do with our hands.
Yeah. But I do. I want this to have a few things to it. I'm just being transparent to say it'd be nice to have a few things that are little, differences.
Different and fun.
But it would be because I saw a video of you guys playing and you were standing and Ted was sitting.
Oh yeah, that's
and I was like, well, that would be fun if maybe we stand in this podcast and.
You're dropping this on me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great exercise.
No, and there might be a live audience, and there might be some interaction. There might be some more.
Yeah. We could get some exercises going. Like I
want to bring energy shifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
bring some sitting and standing, some liturgy, some bowing.
Yeah, some up close camera stuff, walking by. Just something that keeps the energy to feel a little. Keep it moving.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
call to action for sure. Yeah, and I'd love to put a spotlight on different locations in the island because there's so many beautiful places that we can do things, and if we can gather together a live audience for these conversations, take questions, take comments in person, especially in the winter too, man, because that's just a great thing to do here when things are quiet, desolate, possibly depressing. But altogether beautiful nonetheless. And music too. I mean, what is Martha's Vineyard but a very musical little island? I mean, that's. I feel so very blessed to be here because
this is gonna be a big part of the show. So Tony, first of all, someone said that my voice sounds like Tony.
From Kill Tony.
Kill Tony. Maybe you'll pick up on that or not. People are like, your voice sounds. But he's got a live podcast where he invites people that are pursuing a stand-up, wanting to be stand-up comedians, and they come on, they give a minute of their best, and then they talk about it. But we could do something similar since kind of our circle is all musicians.
A lot of musicians. Probably more musicians than comedians.
We could do something similar where we invite people on, give us a little taste of their own musical.
Well, I think our first little vision, one of our first ideas on the idea board was
Wait,
to...
bring that guitar back. We got to give you a
yeah.
taste of
Well,
in between these.
I think that one of our first ideas on the idea board was that there'd be a permanent musical setup on set. And much like David Letterman would have Paul Schaefer to the side, but Paul Schaefer was off camera often. In our podcast, that band would be on camera the whole time. Especially because Ted McGuinness, who is my musical partner, is one of the funniest people on the island.
Let's give him a hug right here.
In New England. Yeah, and that'd be fun. Right, and breaking into song. Like, oh man, to be able to turn great phrases that get thrown around in this podcast to just songify it immediately.
Yeah, one of my closest friends was a great musician. In fact, Solon Bowen.
What a great name.
Great name, great musician. He unfortunately died, and I don't know. I know why I said that in a laughing way, but it's uncomfortable because I haven't talked about Solon in forever. It's been a long time. High school friend. I've had a lot of friends that have passed, and kind of caught me off guard. So I don't know. Like, I hope it doesn't come off insincere, but I guess the setup was to say one of the things I used to really enjoy about Solon was when we'd go listen in his basement at band practice. It was cool to kind of be part of that. Mm-hmm. And then there's always good conversation in between sets and playing. And that would be cool to have that on this podcast. Like the feeling of a band practice where there's music half the time and in between naturally conversation just occurs.
You know, a great way to do that would be to talk to Jim Glavin, Peacegate, right across from Scottish Bakehouse in Farley, because they have a great band space down there. Yeah. And that's where VVY is. Okay. Which Rick Fisher manages. And you know Rick Fisher, good friend of mine. He's a great guy, and he's wanted to do like live broadcast concerts there. Okay. I bet you we could partner up. Coming soon on the What is Martha's Vineyard podcast, the big VVY team up live set at Peacegate. Yeah, that'd be fun. And what's that podcast? You linked up with them. It's like a live band, and their live show is a podcast, and there's a couch on the stage.
Oh, they did. Yeah. So Andy Frasco.
That's right.
Shout out to Andy.
Hey, Andy.
He actually, first time I went to one of his shows, he had a live podcast he was practicing, and it was at the New Orleans Jazz Festival.
Oh yeah.
And I think there was a few thousand people, and
it's a big accomplishment to play that stage.
He ended up had a couch, had a live podcast.
Oh man!
Before the show began, he's like tried it out.
Yeah,
he has a podcast as well, but yeah, maybe like sometimes it'd be live, sometimes there'd be private sessions. We were just talking about one of our friends. I don't want to put out his business, but he's building a podcast in his bar.
Yes.
And
you've said too much.
Maybe we could link with him and do a few different locations.
Yeah, that'd be very fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. And I'd love to have a lot of, as often as possible, given whatever venues we're in, but to get some local musicians on here. And if we build up the viewership here, we get those local musicians and their music out here. Link up with MVY. I'm sure they'd be happy to help with that too, because that's a similar mission. There are so many great musicians on this island. It's kind of crazy. I mean, you were asking about my story earlier. Like, I met my wife, Katie Mayhew. Yeah. Big pipes on that girl. Like, greatest singer I've ever met, and like fell in love with her through her songwriting at first. Like the soul that she expresses through her songs just like commanded my like respect and affection immediately. And I would have never ended up here. Like this place was not on the map for me. Like all it was to me was a place that some of my peers in high school would come back from in September with tans and Black Dog merchandise.
Because you were a touring musician.
Yeah, I was a New
all
Yorker.
over the country.
Yeah, I was a New Yorker for a while, and when I met Katie, like my life came to fruition. Like life just started moving. We started our family, and the first thing we did was decide, like before our first child was born, let's not get reliant on income that we might want to switch up once we have a kid if we ever want to go into music full time. Like it will be really scary to switch career paths if we already have that kid. Let's do it now. And so I went full time in music on Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
And like, what place can you do that? Like you wouldn't, that would have never been on my radar. Like, oh yeah, I'll just move to a isolated island off the coast of New England and I'll be able to raise a family of 5.
Yeah.
Just playing music and having fun for a living.
It's incredible.
It's incredible, and it just speaks to one, like the love of music that people on the island have, because music survives on patronage. The patronage of people who believe that music is like a necessity in life rather than sort of like a luxury that you're not actually willing to pay for, right? So it relies on the patronage of music lovers, but music lovers want high quality.
Yes,
and
yes.
So like the music people that survive here and
Yes.
like are able to be full time, they're so
You have
good.
you have to be great.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I can name them, but
Yes.
it's like Mike Benjamin,
World class.
Johnny Hoy,
I'm not
Delaney
yes.
Pickering, like everyone involved in those projects. And by the way, everyone's involved in each other's projects because there's only a few of us here, so to speak, per capita. It's definitely not oversaturated by any stretch of the imagination. But they're scary good, everybody, and because there's so few of us and there's so many events to cover, like everyone has such a huge repertoire, and everyone kind of has to learn each other's repertoire in order to hang, because my bass player can't come to this one, he's got another gig somewhere else, so you gotta step in and know all.
Are you guys all on like a group chat, or like you just all have each other's numbers and quick reach out?
We're like on the same existential group chat, so to speak. But we all have each other's numbers, and like in the summer. So one thing I learned when I moved here, my first few summers, like I used to gig a lot on the mainland, and getting off the island is expensive, and then you drive, and then you pay your gig, do your gig for a pittance. And I found out really quickly, like no matter what, if I booked an off-island gig, even if things were slow, like and intended to be slow, like there's nothing going on that weekend or that Friday, no matter what, as soon as the ferry would dock in Woods Hole Terminal on the mainland, I'd get like 5 texts being like, hey, could you jump in on a gig tonight? It's like, it's actually very good money. I'm like, wow, I'm turning down 5 gigs in order to play one that I had to drive really far away from and abandon my family for the night to do. So, it's a really interesting place in that way, because you don't, I lived in New York for 5 years and no one was calling me last minute to fill in for someone at a gig that is going to help me take care of a family. Not that I had one in New York. Not that you can really afford to do that. I don't know how you would do that in New York. But.
Well, that... And to let you guys in on how we know each other. So as Seán was saying, he's got a beautiful family of 5. He's got 3 little kids, 2 girls and a boy that recently was born. And his oldest daughter, Isla's best friends with my daughter Eloise. I don't know if the names, you can cut those out after if you don't want those mentioned. But... and I have a beautiful wife, Dina. So I have myself, Dina, Eloise. We have a dog named Donut that Eloise named. She's only 5. Isla's 7. We were pod buddies during the pandemic. Eloise was born, I believe, just a few weeks before the shutdown. Mm-hmm. And we were lucky that we became close friends, that we got to hang out every day or a lot of days, bringing the family together. And it's been awesome getting to know you and know your family. And yeah, this is, I think we have something here that is worth exploring and worth doing.
Oh yeah, with all y'all.
Yeah, with all y'all, and we hope that you guys enjoy this. We should end on you wanna make up a song or sing a song or sing one of your songs
I don't want to end yet because you just brought up something that I can't resist.
All right.
Because it was the pod era. This is when the podcast was born.
The podcast, yes.
So dig this. This is crazy.
Wow.
Right? This is wild.
The podcast was born in a pod.
Yeah. Yeah. We have footage. We'll splice it in. So right on Ash Wednesday. It was Ash Wednesday of 2020. You and I.
My mom thought we were going crazy.
We got together. I mean, maybe I can't remember if coronavirus was like
Love my mom.
in the air then. I think it was, but not so big yet. So we set up 2 lawn chairs in his driveway, bring a cooler of liquor and beer at like 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
Sit our butts down on these lawn chairs in the driveway with crosses of ash on our heads because it was Ash Wednesday, and crack open, some adult beverages, and we start the podcast. And I remember, I think your mom was like a little concerned about us speaking openly, which,
Yeah, which is still openly because we have to have work here. We have ventures we're going to be doing, things.
Right. And that was at the beginning
Employment.
of 2020, before things got even crazier in that
Yes.
department, right? There was so much you couldn't talk about. But I remember after we did that, we were still trying to get B-roll. We wanted to get footage from around the island.
Yes.
And we met up. I think we ran into each other. We ran into each other at Stop and Shop in Eggertown.
Yes.
And I was just doing a casual shop, and you're like, I'm.
This was like a few days before the shutdown.
Yes, a few days before the shutdown.
And I remember why I drove to the store. Dina said, "Hey, did you hear that the NBA is they're canceling the NBA season this year?" Right then, I knew there is about to be, if the National Basketball Association is closing their doors
because of coronavirus.
Because of this virus.
That's what it was called back then.
I knew. I never had been what's that called? A doomsday prepper?
Yeah.
I knew I had to go doomsday prep.
Yeah.
I went straight to the store, and people started laughing at us.
We were joking. Like, I was like, "What are you doing?"
I'm like, "I'm here to get all the goods because we're about to get shut down."
Yeah, I was just getting some supplemental cheeses so like my ladies could snack, and you're like, "I'm preparing for the end of the world." And I remember we have footage of this. We'll dig it up. We found some Lysol, and it says like effective against coronavirus, and we were joking about it. And I'll never forget because we did the checkout, and we were joking about it with the cashier, and then it was just a couple days later I went back to start stocking up because that's when the toilet paper stuff started.
Yes.
And I had this massive cart full of supplies, and everyone else did, and it was no longer a joke. This was just a couple days later.
Oh gosh, we could just let's remember to always, every guest gets asked to reminisce about where were you during the shutdown?
Yeah, during the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
And
it's a good.
Those days were magical. I always joke.
Because that is like you said, the podcast was formed in our pod. This has to be a theme. The shutdown has to be a theme.
I suppose so.
Who were your pod buddies?
Who were your pod buddies? Yeah, at least while it's fresh, right?
That can be a brand. Who are your pod buddies?
Pod buddies.
Pod buddies.
Yeah,
of Martha's Vineyard.
Those were the days, right? Because
pod buddies of Martha's Vineyard.
Pod buddies of Martha's Vineyard. I'll never forget either. Just how strange it was to walk into Kronig's for the first time with like the arrows and the spacing for the 6 feet. Just so surreal. And back then, They said if you go out grocery shopping, you better wash your clothes or burn them or something because they weren't sure if it was airborne. And wow, man, what a trip! It was kind of scary, but also as things go, like even in the fog of war, like things are weirdly normalized as you take them because you can't process what's going on. And I always joke that there was this weird brief period in the early days of the shutdowns and the lockdowns that the world was actually very beautifully synchronized.
Yes.
That people started making weird viral videos singing songs together, and everyone was watching Tiger King.
Yeah, and you had
United Under One King.
You had Ryan Adams reach out to you, right? And you started talking to
Ryan Adams, like singer songwriter.
Just like random occurrences that usually wouldn't happen if we weren't in that situation. Everyone was in their living room at that point.
That was very specifically his story too, because that year, like by the grace of God, one of my songs was put in a Subaru ad, like all year long, national ad 2020.
That's what you'll play for the last song for this episode.
It's called "I Want to Be with You."
There we go.
It's a love song I wrote for my wife.
Sing that to the audience.
All right, I will. But that's why Ryan Adams called me. He said, due to COVID-19. I've been sitting on my butt, like on the couch watching TV all day, and this ad keeps coming on. And finally, I looked up the song. He's like, "It's your song," and he was like, "That song is like a once in a lifetime song." It's like he said it was like
that's awesome.
He said it was like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want the world to see me. And I didn't believe it was him at first. Like I was like, this guy, he must be messing with me. And he FaceTimes me, and he's like, "Here's my cat. Here's me, like here's my house." He has like a like full armor. What do you call it? Like medieval Renaissance era armor, just sitting on his stairs. And I'm convinced. I think I was his best friend maybe for like 4 days before he forgot I existed. Like hot and heavy. He called me like a lot. I'd be like, FaceTime from Ryan Adams. If you're out there, Ryan, I'd still love to make that album we kind of talked about making.
That's awesome.
Yep, that was the joy of 2020. A lot of like, what were there any funny surprises that you had? Funny blessings during 2020?
Oh, during the
that's when he moved here, right? That's pretty much.
Well, the biggest blessing was they weren't even sure if I was going to be allowed in the room while Eloise was born. So, thank God that I was able to, because literally weeks later, people weren't allowed to. Mm-hmm. I think that became a thing. Like the dads weren't allowed in the room. I believe.
Yeah, no one was allowed in the room, neither for birth nor for death. You really couldn't be together at all.
So that was obviously a blessing. But I remember the night before Eloise was born, I had this whole conversation with Bill Murray, also an Islander here.
You ain't lived on the Vineyard long enough. If Bill Murray
everyone has a Bill Murray story or 5 of them. He definitely is present in the community.
And he hits on your mom.
No, let's cut that.
He offered to buy my mama a drink. She doesn't drink, but she was charmed.
Okay, that part has to. Well, I don't know if he would. Yeah.
Hey, I said I might mythologize it, but the tale might be taller than it was, and I can't remember.
But I remember he said a few kind words and funny words to bless the birth of Eloise, which was going to be the next day.
Do you remember what he said?
He basically was, the essence of it was like, good luck with that type. That was the feeling he left me with.
Thanks, Dad.
But, he did it in his pure genius comical way, He's a legend. So
great singer.
Oh, yeah. In fact, he gave one of the best performances I have ever witnessed of a musician or performer of any sort. It was at the PA Club.
Yep. Probably with the Murata brothers.
And it was Gloria. He sang.
Like, Gloria.
Gloria. Yeah.
Gloria. Gloria.
No.
The other Gloria?
The other Gloria.
No.
No. No, I think it's Gloria, right? It's like, Gloria. I gotta look this up.
We can look it up. I mean, that's what we do, you know. Get the guy in the corner to do a live fact check. We need that live fact check.
Hold on. Yeah, because this is
Gloria, Gloria. Dun, 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 dun. You know that song? I don't know, my wife knows that one a lot better. It's a Ritz hit. We're going to Google stuff.
Yeah.
While you do that, I'll tell them about these hats because it ties into the mission of this podcast. Oh, by the Doors?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. So Bill Murray did this.
Yeah. Ready?
Wow. We might get a copyright strike.
Yeah.
But so Bill Murray was doing that.
He had the place rocking.
Dude, I bet.
Like, and it was one of those things where like he started off and I'm like, is this a joke he's about to sing? You know, like, and he had the band behind him.
Oh, he's a great singer.
Not just a great singer, but like then you realize you're like, oh, he's an A-list. He's a legend. He knows how to perform. His timing is impeccable. He's like, he knows how to get the crowd going.
Yeah.
To a level that I was like, that was the best performance I ever witnessed.
Bill Murray oozes charisma.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You hear that, Bill? You ooze charisma.
It was awesome.
We'd
Bill.
love to have you in the room with us.
Yeah,
Come chat with us.
You'll be here at one of these. Yeah,
we should get him on the Rick O'Gorman episode. I mean, that'd be an interesting combo.
He loves the local musicians here. He's a big fan, big supporter.
Yeah, Rick's a great singer-songwriter. Great. And I'd love to see that meeting of minds for various reasons.
Oh, you had to look up the...
I had to look up the lyrics for my song, and I was going to tell them a little bit about why our hats say Make Envy Weird Again.
Okay.
It's not just clever and very affordable merch, which you can find in a link to what do they call it? A link in the description. But it's about our mission, right? It's what we describe. Plopping your salad into a stew and then salting it so that the unique flavors come out. This is all about the weirdness of the vineyard and not weirdness in a sense of denigrating people and making them feel like outcasts, but working them in. You know, like bringing out the flavors, bringing out the personalities and all the unique things about the vineyard, right? Because
and making it a safe place that, I mean, trust me, myself included, there's some fear here to put things out because we don't want people to clip things and label us a certain way. We are here to...
Oh, God, I didn't even think of that.
We are here to try to do the opposite, and we might fall flat on our face doing it, but I think it's a worthy, noble cause because it's needed right now in the world.
Yeah.
We need to come together and love each other and celebrate each other's differences and keep the conversations going, keep the laughter going, and continue to appreciate each other.
Gotta love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very simple, but sometimes it takes a little training, and maybe this podcast can be just that training ground with your listenership and help. Well, shall we close with a song?
Which again, this is the song that ended up on a Subaru commercial during the pandemic that led to his 4-day friendship with Ryan Adams.
You know, I was worried when my licensing company called me to say, hey, your song I Want to Be With You is being picked up by Subaru. And they wanted the stems meaning they wanted like each individual track, like my vocal isolated the guitar, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna rewrite it so that it's I Want a Subaru. They didn't do that, thank God. It was like this beautiful, sweet little, sort of like family vacation in the mountains type of thing. Which, you know, by the way, Subaru is like the island vehicle, is it not?
Hey, Subaru could be, if you guys want to be a sponsor.
Subaru.
Contact us here, right in the link below.
Yeah, the island's so funny, man. We got like Subarus, we got Teslas, we got like big trucks, and we got those funny little like micro trucks that are kind of like a, what do they call them, like the Mini Coupe version of a truck. We got jalopies. Like, got my island car just rusting away in my island house. Well, this one goes out to all of you. I wrote this for my wife. Did you know that?
It's lovely.
When I mentioned the green and the blue, it was me in the moment realizing I do want to live on Martha's Vineyard. You know, like the blue sky and the green ocean, I suppose. Or perhaps like the rolling green hills that you see up on Middle Road, you know?
Yeah.
I want to have more fun. My life has just begun. I feel so wide awake. I feel the give and the take. I want the green and the blue. I want the sea and the dew. I want the push and the pull. I want to feel so full.
Just bringing you our sponsors.
I want to be with you. I want my dreams to come true. I want to work through my pain. No need to feel ashamed. I want to be lifted up. I want to fill my cup with Tazo, apparently. I want to be with you. I want to be with you.
Lavaza.
I want to be with you. With you. With you. I want to hold your hand. I want to be your man. I want to share my heart, the light and the dark. I want to understand. I know that I can. I want to be seen straight through. I want to be with you. 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 With you. With you. And this next verse is like where I projected and manifested the birth of our child. And therefore my wife is like, you gotta be really careful what you write about. Because we had an unplanned pregnancy because of this song.
That's awesome.
I wanna take the cake. I wanna raise the steak. I want to see it all. It's all so beautiful. I want to fight the good fight. I want to join together our lives. I want to be one, not two. I want to be with you. 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 With you. With you. With you.
We are Seán and Sully, mayors of Martha's Vineyard.
That's right. If not, the future monarchs thereof.
Great having you guys with us today.
All right. Thanks for listening. God bless. See you later.